I always tell people, if you're ready to gain muscle, it's a whole different diet and workout than when you want to get cut and really have your body fat go down. And that's how I look at business is when you're bulking, you'll take a little bit of a penalty on the profit, but you'll grow fast.
All right. So today we're welcoming Tommy Mello with A1. How you doing, Tommy?
It's great. Weather's great. Business is good. We're focused. We bought a company this week. We're closing on in Columbus. We just closed 2 weeks ago on a company in Nashville. Got a real doozy we've been working on in Houston. Got another good one in Boise. We're just focused on growth. And these next few years are going to be all about growing top line. Bottom line's important. Never forget it. I never do. But if the bottom line takes a little hit, we're in growth mode. I always tell people, if you're ready to gain muscle, it's a whole different diet and workout than when you want to get cut and really have your body fat go down. And that's how I look at business is when you're bulking, you'll take a little bit of a penalty on the profit, but you'll grow fast. And that's where we're looking for the next 36 months is I'd love to see us get to 750 million. I've got bigger goals than that, but I think that's doable. Through acquisitions, greenfielding, and growing where we're currently at. We're in 22 states now, so things are good.
That's incredible. In fact, I listened to your one of your most recent podcast episodes. It was a Q&A, and you talked exactly that, right? You were talking about bulking up and focusing on that growth, maybe compared to right now, of course, coming out of the pandemic, potential recession, you have a lot of business owners out there that are probably looking at it a little bit differently than you, right? They're probably saying, hey, we need to pull things in. We need to focus on the bottom line and profitability. I just got back from DC, from NPMA, the National Pest Management Association, their legislative week. And that was one of the topics. A lot of the subject were around pulling in and focus on profitability, over the next, 12 to 18 months. Tell us about your mindset, man, with that kind of growth. And tell us a little bit leading up to that. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you've done over the years and how you've scaled your business. And of course, we can talk about 1,000 other things with your podcast and your books, but let's start off there, man. Let's talk about your journey from where you came from and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Detroit, about an hour outside of Detroit. And my mom and dad worked really, really hard my whole life. So kind of got to see business firsthand. In Detroit, in Michigan, you learn how to shovel snow and mow lawns when you're a kid to make money. So did that. I'm allergic to grass. So I started a landscape company in Arizona when I moved out here in 1999. But, I would say that I've been where everybody's been. I started from ground zero, didn't have any money to start. So I poured in sweat equity. 2006-07 is when I started going right into the housing crisis. And, I know what it's like to be looking for your next best hire and to be working 24/7. You'll lose relationships. It's a grind. It's a lot of hard work and you do make mistakes. I wish there was a book out there that would tell you all the mistakes, but you got to learn how to manage people. You got to learn how to build systems. And, I'm obsessed with networking. And when I became obsessed with networking, going and visiting a lot of air conditioning and plumbing shops, I learned the success leaves clues. So 2014, I found an integrator, Adam Cronenberg. He was amazing for me. Handled the stuff that I didn't want to deal with. I love marketing. I love sales. I love pouring passion into the company. 2017, got on Service Titan, met Al Levy. That's when I started the podcast. So I use the podcast for almost like if I want to learn more about insurance, I had a really great top insurance broker on. If I want to learn more about a CFO and what they do and how they work, or a CMO, chief marketing officer. But I use the podcast as kind of my North Star. And, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong. You name the stuff we've been through the ringer, but I have an abundance mindset of I'm very fortunate where we're at today. Everything that's happened for a reason. And now I'm just kind of recalibrating. I go through these peaks where we grow fast and then we got to recalibrate, get the systems, get the new, not necessarily the new team, but really get the team dialed in. And I need to get to the finish line on a few things. That's the hardest part, is really getting things integrated properly. So right now we partner with private equity, Core Tech, in the end of December. And the reason I did that is just because we have a huge opportunity to go buy a lot of companies, and the banks were not moving quickly. And I know we're going to go through a recession. We're already pretty much there. So I said, look, let's have a partner that'll pull us through, because when everybody else is selling, we'll be buying. When everybody else, we're going to come out of this thing. And right now is a great opportunity because, everybody was begging to buy Bitcoin at 60,000, and they were begging to buy Tesla at 600 and Amazon. And now the market's gone down and they're all wanting to sell. It's like, do the opposite of what the market does. And it's a great opportunity. If it becomes a buyer's market, that just creates more opportunity for us. The multiples go down. Well, I think we'll be fine because we've got a lot of money in the bank account and we've got a lot of opportunity, and we know how to run businesses. A lot of people have great businesses, but they're not prepared for this. They're not ready to go through this. It's a lot of stress. And a lot of these, what is there? I heard 200,000 baby boomers retiring each day. 12% of them own businesses. The next 6 or 7 years are going to be amazing time to consolidate. And that's the story in a nutshell. It lasted about 5 minutes, but.
Well, everything you're talking about as far as, the podcast and starting it, very similar concept for me. And I've mentioned it on previous episodes. I've always wanted to do a podcast. I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk over the years, and trying to put content out and need to do a lot more. Right. And so at some point, when we started this new company, we said, hey, what a great opportunity to track starting a brand new company, what it's like, and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's done the same thing for me, Tommy. It's opened doors to get connected with someone like yourself, or, some of the other industry experts inside the industry and out for us. It's created those connections in that network. It's not like I'm making money off this podcast, and indirectly, I think it is a way of giving back, and I think it comes back around full circle and paying it forward in a way. What as far as A1, and I didn't realize you had partnered with private equity. Obviously, they're all over the home services industry. I know they are pest control, as I'm sure they are other home-based, home service businesses. From where you started, where are you guys now size-wise? You mentioned being in multiple states. As far as maybe employee count or revenue, where are you guys right now, so we can paint a picture for what you're actually managing right now?
Yeah, there's about 700 employees, and right now we'll do just under 200, but if we continue with the acquisitions every month, we'll do well over 200 million this year. I don't know the exact number because we have a lot of NDAs and LOIs signed. We're hitting some big numbers, and I'm connected to a lot of people in the home service space, and it seems like people are missing their budget. The weather hasn't been great for HVAC this year, because in the winter, usually it's about the furnaces and stuff. And there hasn't been really, well, hopefully it comes back on track, but I'm hearing a lot of people missing their budget. But yeah, it's a big company. And, I got to be very careful, because right now we've got a lot of people on the assistance of the technician, whether it's a CFO in the financial department, HR department, the marketing department, the guys in the warehouse. All those people are assisting the technicians. So our numbers aren't where I want them to be. I like to be above a 2-to-1, 2 people out there collecting the check from the client to the one assisting them. And I think we're ready for growth. We're prepared for growth. It's a big transition to get the reporting that these guys want in the PE world. These guys are amazing. And they just got a record for 5-to-1. I'd like to hit 7 or 10-to-1 because I rolled a lot of money back in. I own half the company still. So I'm one of the largest investors in the business. And so I'm here every day grinding. I mean, I wish I had an extra few days, but we just moved into a new house, so I'm getting acclimated to that. I'm building a house in Sandpoint, Idaho, which is right outside of Coeur d'Alene. I just want to get back to, I'm getting a new executive assistant. We're getting a chief of staff. I'm building a new studio next door. as these things come together and I get back into the rhythm, and just like I said, we go through peaks where we're going up and then maybe valleys or just plateau. And so once I get back to the grind, and I'm working on that really hard right now, just setting up new systems, because what'll take you to 100 million won't necessarily take you to a billion. You got to have very, very good integrations, and you got to have the right people. And that's what we're working on, getting the right people on the team this year. This just happened. We're 3 months in, not even. And, you got to have a plan to get there. So we're working, we've got a really nice tight budget. And, what I'd like to see, I mean, at 5X, what I reinvested, that puts me at a really, I've already got life-changing, the thing that already happened. But I mean, this is putting us into billion status, just pretty tentatively. So I want to work really hard for 4 or 5 years and also enjoy it. That's the secret sauce, is enjoying your Monday, enjoying work. And that's what
Absolutely. So when you first started the business, starting, from the beginning, I mean, you built this thing ground up, right? And you learned a ton over the years. What was your vision when you first started? Obviously your vision has gotten bigger, right? And it is grown over the years where you've seen opportunity. Where did it first start when you first said, hey, where do I want to take this thing in 5 years? Was it just putting food on the table, or did you have this ultimate goal of building something super big and scalable?
2010 is when I separated from my partner, took on the business. My mom and stepdad moved out. And that's when I decided to get a master's degree in business. And throughout the master's degree, I met a lot of people, and I got really good at SEO. I got good at editing videos, and I realized, wait a minute, if I do all these things right, I could take over markets. And throughout the last decade, I've learned a lot more. And now I know I can do it in any industry. It takes a lot of hard work. My goal was to be a big garage door company. I knew that was going to do well. I was pre-dental, so I took anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, organic chemistry, advanced calculus. Took about 65 credits. I was going to go into dental. I was getting ready to take the DAT, went an intern with a dentist, and he said, if I were you, to get a master's in business and make sure you specialize. So he said, I'm 47 years old. I'm still in debt up to my neck. So be very careful if you don't know business. So I decided to double down on business, and that's my passion. So I knew around graduating in 2012 that I had something that I could grow to be a monster. I didn't think it would be this big, but it seems like it keeps getting easier.
Well, I heard you mention earlier, you mentioned integrator. You said you brought on an integrator to do all the stuff that, I don't know if you said you weren't good at or you didn't want to do. I'm assuming that's a play from Traction. I know that was a game changer for our business years ago in our interns business. Again, it's one thing being the visionary, but having someone who can help you execute on that. Talk about that, because I assume somewhere along the way when that happened, that's when you really probably got to focus on your sweet spot and a lot of your growth happened.
Yeah, I mean, 2014, we sat down and Adam decided he could take on a lot of the stuff on the modifications in the CRM. At the time, it was a different one. He helped a lot on systems and payroll. He's just really smart, could get a lot done in the business, helped create the manuals in 2017, standard operating procedures. We got on a service titan, and he really owned that. And I got to focus just on what I did the best, and that's creating opportunities. And, I renegotiated with all the vendors. I renegotiated with the marketing. Those are the things I enjoy doing. So now it's like I'm dialing these things in to grow. Like, we will have the systems in place by the end of the summer to be $1 billion revenue company. And that's refined. There's responsibilities for every single person at the top. And we need to row in the right direction. We all need to be going in the same direction, who's responsible for what. So some of the hard things we're dealing with at this size is everybody's using different things. People in the company are using Microsoft 360. Some people are using Google. Some people are using Outlook. Some people are using Gmail. Some people are using Trello boards. There's some using Asana. There's some using Monday. So the first thing is to get us back on the same page. And as you grow at the rate we're growing, it's hard to modify things while you're still growing. So there's a lot going on. I'm up for the challenge, and it's going to take a lot of whiteboarding notes. It's going to hold, accountability, the right delegation, but integrators help you see things to the finish line, especially with visionaries. They help build your dream into reality. And the more people you could get focusing on the small things, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. So if you say back in 2010, 2015, even, what did your role look like from a day to day compared to today? Because you're clearly you're visionary. You're representing a larger group, scaling. I'm sure you hit these different plateaus over the years. But where were you? 10 years ago. What did that look like for you?
So before Adam came on, I was still in the field. I mean, I'd go run jobs. I'd go meet with HOA presidents. I wouldn't work full time in the truck, but I still go out there. If we needed a good week, I'd go run 15 calls. Because I knew I could bring in a lot of the money. And back then, 2012, 2013, when Adam started, we were only $5-6 million in 2014 revenue. So in 2017, I think we were doing like 16 or 17 million. And then what happened is we got really, really good at just making the phone ring. But what we really understood was we weren't charging enough. We were the king of coupons. And we didn't have the brand. When we rebranded with Kick Charge, Dan Antonelli, we actually were a much better brand, and the word got out there. Our jingle caught on, and people said they saw us everywhere. The trucks were wrapped differently before. A couple trucks had an old wrap, then there was a newer wrap, and I didn't have consistent trucks. Now I only have one install truck and one maintenance truck, and it's just way more systematized. I can predict revenue within 5% each day. And the way you build a budget is you figure out how many calls you need, your average ticket, your conversion rate, and your booking rate, what it costs you to acquire a lead. So you could build a really, really nice budget. And then it depends on marketing and sales. And all that goes into conversion rate and booking rate. If you understand those four things, you make a lot of money very quickly, but you got to be able to generate phone calls. So that's really what my main thing is today, is how do we get more phone calls? The last 3 years I was spoiled. We had more calls than we could handle. So I said, how do I find and build awesome technicians? And we went through classes of 40, 50 technicians. We could handle 100 a month. So the main thing, we're going, okay, right now we're not getting as many calls. So we need to focus on booking rate, conversion rate, and ticket average. And then we need to get more phone calls. And it's this tango, more calls, more texts, more calls, more texts, and then the infrastructure to support all that.
Sure.
CSRs and dispatchers.
So at what time, at what point did you go from doing the day-to-day marketing and being very super involved at the very tactical detail to where you could actually maybe delegate that out or bring someone on your team or maybe outsource it externally? What's been your experience there?
There's certain things you want to outsource and certain things you don't want to. We're at the point now where we're bringing a lot more things inside, like the content. We're working on doubling down on content, whether that's video, changing up the radio ads. I still do all the radio and TV commercials. I think I'm going to stay doing those because the camera doesn't faze me. And I listen to some other people and it just doesn't seem natural. So I'm going to own a few of these things still. I'll never let go of marketing. I'll never let go of being a great coach to the sales staff. I'll never be out of touch with what's going on in the call center. If I did go completely out of that role, I don't think I'd be the CEO. I think I might become the chief visionary officer and hire a CEO. But right now, those are my passions. And I think if we're going to continue to grow at the rate I want to grow, I need to be here every day and show up and make the phone calls, communicate with the staff, which are my coworkers, and make sure we've got a plan and make sure we're getting to the finish line on these things. Whether that be, there's a lot, but getting all the content, changing out the radio and TV ads, making sure the billboards are getting done right, and then focusing on Google. If you just do that, and then you've got an outreach team doing property managements, home warranties, and you're focused on custom builders, architects, realtors, designers. My goal, since we've been spoiled because we got so many calls from Google, that now I want to not be so dependent on one source. I want to go Let's make sure our Yelp and Angie's list are
Right,
dominated. Let's
right.
get into some of the gift that keep giving. Let's go after. There's a good book called The Dream 100, and the Ultimate Sales Machine. He talks about it is you go after certain clients that are monsters, treat them with the red carpet, white glove experience. Make sure they understand that they could get a hold of you and you're going to show up. 100 clients would give me 200 million. I mean, easily, if we do it right. So that's something we're building out as we buy companies, some of these relationships have fallen off, and I noticed it was a big issue. So we're designing a whole section of the business for these relationships.
That's
And
great.
that's really what it's about. Phone calls, conversion rate, average ticket, booking rate.
Absolutely. And you hit on you mentioned the Dream 100. We're doing a book club right now with our company. Every 2 weeks, we're taking Chet Holmes' Ultimate Sales Machine and breaking it down 2 chapters every 2 weeks. And we have our leadership team and our sales guys that are going through, and they each get an opportunity to, teach or, facilitate it for the whole group, which has been really, really awesome. And that's one of our projects we're doing right now that we've tasked everybody with, is doing that Dream 100. And the engagement that we've seen, number one, just getting the sales guys talking, right? Almost like a little mini mastermind group. I get to do mastermind groups. I get to do coaching and go to conferences, but we forget sometimes that they need that same maybe investment in them, right?
They need it all the time. Every day there's 2 calls, 7:30, 7:45. Thursday's an hour and a half. And I'm involved in a lot of that. And I got to tell you, I'm doubling down on that, because getting them aware of the mindset changes, the abundance mindset that knows okay. And just one of the things I've been very deliberate with this week is each of you guys have a great story. We just need to make sure your story is spot on and it's sincere. When you tell a client, this is what I was doing before A1 garage door service. I got an opportunity, Rusty, to work anywhere I want in the country. I went through 2 months of training. I learned a lot about the right tools, the right way to do it, to fix it if it was my mom's house. And they've been there. They've been there for me and my family. These are my 2 kids. This is my wife. We're doing this as a family. We're behind this company 100%. We believe in it. We believe in Tommy. We believe in the senior management team. We believe that we are hands down the best garage door company in North America. I trust A1 garage door service with my family. I'm here to earn your business, and I think you should trust them too. Being able to say that, look somebody in the eye and actually mean it and believe in what you're selling.
To have conviction, right?
The conviction,
to say with conviction,
empathy, just looking at a customer and saying, look, I'm not promising you everything's going to go perfect if you're going to use us on every house you own, and you own 1,000 houses. What I do promise is we're going to communicate great. We're going to make it right, because there's always, we depend on our vendors. We depend on our trucks driving correctly. We depend on no car accidents when we say we're going to be there. And sometimes, life throws us lemons, but we make lemonade out of it, and we're going to be there for you. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity. It's focusing, getting to the finish line on some things, and then moving on to the next one. I'm building a special projects team just because I know there's a leader in the company that would be amazing at it. So I went out to lunch with her on Friday. I gave her 10 tasks, and we're going through, and we're going to dominate each one. And I know she could see it to the finish line. And just, I think I think this business should be doing 25% bottom line. And that's my goal, is to get it there. And if it's not getting there, then we should be doubling each year. I'll take either of those, but we will stay over 15% bottom line.
There you go. Well, I think that's a good segue as we wrap up this. This will be a 2-part series. And as we wrap up this first part, one thing let's talk about in part 2 of this, let's talk about the coaching and development of people. And we could talk about 100 different subjects. One thing you talked about on the Q&A podcast you've done recently, you were talking about developing people as opposed to hiring that turnkey person. And I'm a big believer in the development. I feel like I've learned over the years to put a path and a plan in place for people, and they'll run through a wall for you. So if you're good with that, Tommy, we're gonna take a break here, and then when we come back for part 2, let's dive into developing and hiring the right people.
Sounds good.